So it's been said that everyone has a doppelganger in real life. There's someone out there that looks and sounds exactly like you do. Which celebrity do people say you look like most?
I don't. Terry, you go first.
Okay. Which celebrity do I get the most? I don't really get any celebrity for like what my face looks like. Sometimes I like people the style I'm trying to impersonate. If I do like a Travis Kelce like high fade or something, or like some type of David Beckham type thing, they'll just make fun of the try, I think. But my friend once described me. My friend once said that I once looked like Batman after he got a bad back. I was like, that's fucking so sideways and insulting. But I was like, thanks. He was like, well, you kind of jacked, but you clearly drink beer and eat a lot of pizza. I was like, okay, thanks. So I was like, that is exactly my body type. Yeah. So never really anything on the face, but that's one that I was offered once.
All right. I would say that you look somewhere between Ethan Hawke and Kevin Bacon.
No, but you have to say yourself, not me.
Yeah, but you just said nobody told you what your face looks like, so I'm telling you right now.
Oh, Ethan Hawke and who?
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin
I
Bacon.
I don't know. His eyes are a little Josh Hartnett sometimes.
I see.
Oh,
No,
maybe, yeah, somewhere in there
no.
too.
I
Yeah,
don't. Not. I don't think so. There's not. I don't know.
yeah. Just in the eyes and the brow.
I look like Kevin Bacon's put on weight, maybe, but I've never thought of it like that. He's a lot leaner than me.
I used to get back before the beard. If I let my hair grow out and I've got just like a scruff and not a beard, I used to get Seth Rogen semi-frequently.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, I can kind of see that.
yeah, especially without the glasses. But that was also 10 years ago, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore. But Kyle, have you ever seen me without a beard? I've known you long enough
No,
that maybe. No?
no, I've shaved my beard off maybe like 5 or 6 times in the last decade and a half. And every time I do, I immediately regret it.
Regret it right away. Everyone knows I'm famous for my beard being shit, but I still will have facial hair. I can't go no facial hair. It just looks you look ridiculous. You look ridiculous.
I have had facial hair since I was 17. I have gone completely shaven, completely 3 times. No, more than that, like 7 times. Every time I go for a job interview.
Everything goes.
Yeah.
It's part of the ritual.
Yeah. Kyle, who do you look like?
I don't think I've ever had. Sorry, who do I look like?
Yeah.
I have. Nobody's ever told me I look like a celebrity before.
Oh,
But
you look like a younger CM Punk, I think.
CM Punk.
Yeah, really, because he has his
I don't.
head close shaved. I think you have that look too.
All right, all right. But there is, when I was in high school, I kept getting mistaken for another guy that I went to high school with. And they're like, "Oh, you look exactly the same." And I never met him. I still can't figure out who it was.
Dude, oh, that would torture me. That would torture me. You'll never find out.
Yeah, I'll
There was
never
a
find out
guy
now.
when I was like 22. People kept saying that they would see me downtown. I mean, this was 85 pounds ago, like, and 20 years. So there was, for a very brief period, an actual doppelganger of me downtown, live downtown and whatnot. And I've had people, I mean, do either of you guys drive a distinct enough car, or have you ever driven it where people are like, did I see you the other day? Because remember my red Lancer? I'd get that shit all the time. There's one other with the exact same paint job. Get that all the fucking time.
Oh my God.
Are you sure you don't just have split personalities?
Well, now I'm wondering.
Like no severe mental break at any point?
I mean, that's a little different than split personalities. I mean, that for certain has happened. The last time it happened, I started a podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, can I do a real quick side question on this?
Yeah.
I'll jump into it. I saw this on Instagram recently when I was lurking. When you talk to yourself, do you refer to yourself as I, we, or you?
What do you mean?
You say like, okay, I can do it. I can do it. Or do you say, okay, we can do it. Terry, we can do it. Or do you say, Terry, you can do it. You can do it.
I'm trying to think now.
Interesting question.
You can say my name, but I'm doing me.
I would say I normally say I.
Do you really? Even when you refer to yourself, I always say we. I think of myself like, I don't know, a multiple in a way.
I in my head, like I'm thinking about like if I stub my toe on the coffee table, it's funny. I just narrate often out loud, just like, and that's why we don't put coffee tables there. Like it's I don't think I talk to myself. Like I talk about myself. It must be you then, right?
Right. Okay. Oh, I'm definitely we. I think of myself as like a team, my team Terry.
Yeah.
Team Terry.
Yeah.
I think I
Oh.
might try to switch to Wii though.
No.
Because it just
I'll tell you right now what it was. I splashed grease on myself last summer, and there was a great big glob of bacon grease that hit me right on the tip of the nose, and it burned a perfectly circular red dot on the tip of my nose. And I distinctly remember standing in the bathroom mirror looking at it, like trying to wipe it off as it like sloughed the 2 layers of skin off. I'm sitting there looking at it going, well, you look like an asshole now, Adam. Good luck explaining this to people. So it's very much a you. That's there we are.
Oh God, but I can imagine that time. I've had that same type of conversation. I'm just glad somebody else is.
Welcome to the It's a Mimic podcast, where you never know what you're going to get.
Welcome back to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get. Today, we're continuing our discussion on Oozes in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I am Terry. With me today are Kyle and Adam, and this episode is called Hitting the Ooze Alarm.
In this episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, this panel of Dungeon Masters is going to dive into some of the most devious and dangerous oozes in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition.
Before we get into it, I want to say that I get most descriptive when it comes to undead, aberrations, and oozes, because I really want to paint a horrific picture for my players. What enemies do you tend to give the most spotlight to when they make a grand entrance? You want to roll initiative?
Sure.
Sure. 4.
7.
Okay, I rolled an 11, so I'm actually, like, despite the fact I just said undead, aberrations, and oozes, I also do it for Fae a lot as well, because Fae are weird, and I love to lean into the weirdness of pixies or hags or whatever, so they get a lot of description as well. But Terry, what's the thing that you like really take your time? Like, what's the creature type?
Okay, people, this might be a predictable answer for me, but I want to explain it out. I really do explain my dragons. I'm running Tyranny of Dragons still. We're stretching this thing out, but they're almost towards the end. And so when there are a lot of dragons and different draconic creatures involved, it's important to showcase the differences between them, how they present themselves. The red dragon will be bearing over you with wings spread, as opposed to the white dragon, if it's predatory-like, will maybe just come straight down from the sky and won't engage with you verbally. And even with the metallic dragons, and I find that makes each of them as important NPCs so much more different to each other. And it doesn't matter whether the party likes them or hates them. What's important is that they care about that particular character. And so when you have similar creatures, it's important to know the differences. So I do dragons because that's my campaign right now.
You're pretty, like, famous amongst our group anyway, for really putting the time and effort into your dragons. Like, some people these are just beasts with an ego, right? But you don't do that. They are fully fleshed out characters.
Yeah, I'll talk about the way that they fly. If one dragon will maybe roll through the sky like it's kind of almost breakdancing or tumbling and change direction quickly, whereas another one might glide over you or one might swoop down. So you can really bring them to life in different ways. You have to think about every part of their character sheet and how they would perform those situations differently.
Mm-hmm. Kyle, what about you?
To be honest, I don't think one sticks out any more than the other. I'd spend more time explaining like a setting than I will anything else. And a lot of, facial expressions and kind of postures. That is what I spend more time detailing than actual like physical descriptions, I think.
I feel like you would probably focus on humanoids because they're so specific and varied, right?
Yeah, generally. I think I use a lot more humanoids than anything else.
You know, I wonder if that kind of makes me thinks towards how important the passive insight would be if you're talking about expressions a lot and mannerisms just naturally as part of your DMing. I wonder, have you found that makes for a more like role play heavy or NPC like engaging type game as opposed to like murder hobos when you kind of bring the NPCs to life a little bit more?
Yeah, I do find that it tends to engage players more in the role play side of things if you are kind of giving verbal cues as opposed to just making it a straight conversation, right? I don't know. Maybe it also depends on the people you're playing with, because mine tend to get very aggressive very quickly. if I don't, I guess. Like they just automatically assume if I'm not giving like cues for how that person might be acting,
Right.
they automatically skip to mistrust and this
Or
person is trying to
disposable.
screw us over.
Or
Yeah.
like, yeah, disposable NPC because there's no detail provided. So yeah.
You can thank Dave
Yeah.
for that though, because he trained that entire table to be paranoid.
That's
good.
true.
Dude, that's good, man. That's what makes it engaging. When people get sucked in like that and they start to get paranoid, and but I think it speaks to their uncertainty, but like still enjoyment. So it's a pretty good testament to you, I think.
It took me 3 years to work that shit out of Dan's system because his group was so suspicious, and just to get him to not immediately assume that every NPC wasn't out to get him. And no amount of description one way or the other would do that. If I was describing it because I want him to trust them, then he's describing it. There's a secret. There has to be something in here.
Okay, so we're going to move on to our creature types then, our 3 types of oozes. But before we do that, let's stop for a short info break.
We've previously covered quite a bit in our discussion on monsters in 5th edition. For all of those episodes and more, you can follow or subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and dozens of other podcast apps. And if you'd like to support us, you can donate through the website, check out our store, or join the Patreon and get access to other episodes and series. If you'd like to pay for some ad space on It's a Mimic, or just send a shout out to a friend, please reach out to us through our email and website that are listed in the show notes below.
Hey, this is Adam with a quick reminder to check out our Patreon if you haven't already. All patrons do get access to the Patreon-only Discord, but the real gem, of course, is the additional bonus episodes that you'll get. For Copper Wormling tier patrons, there are all of the Campaign Builder episodes, including all of Tier 2 and Tier 3 of play, and of course we're launching into Tier 4 pretty quickly. There's also 7 bonus episodes that Dan and I had recorded way back in the day that never got an official edit or release, and they're a part of this conversation as well. For Bronze Young patrons, there are not just the Legend Lore episodes that go into the backlog of 5th edition, but there are also some episodes about other tabletop role-playing games, and the Legend Lore online series, which breaks down all of the D&D Beyond and online material for 5th edition that has been released by Wizards of the Coast. And then, of course, you also get access to the Campaign Builder episodes. For Silver and Adult tier, you get access to all of that, but also bonus episodes that have been released as supplements to regular episodes, or are just sidebar bonus rants. And the Homebrew series, where I sit down and talk about how I handle different aspects of 5th edition in unique and interesting ways at my own table. There's also the Gold Ancient tier, which gives you access to all of that stuff, as well as input on topics in some future episodes, as well as a quarterly special episode featuring at least one host dedicated to answering any specific questions that you have about D&D, so it's kind of like a personal mailbag. And then, of course, there's a Metallic Great Worm, which you guys hear all of the time, where there's a Zoom call with at least one host that's going to be recorded and released as a bonus episode every handful of months. So for those of you who haven't checked out the Patreon, or you're not quite sure if it's for you, I hope this breakdown helps a little bit, and I look forward to chatting with you guys at the very least in the comments on the public forum. Anyway, let's get back to the episode. We can roll initiative for this if you want, Terry. I don't know why I put them in a specific order. It doesn't really matter. Or we can do an order. I don't care.
Let's roll initiative. Okay, I won't give away what the creature types are going to be, but let's roll for it then.
Sure.
I got a 5.
I got a 14.
15.
Oh. I'll take a seat. Adam, you're first.
I said it doesn't matter what order, but I didn't want to go first. All right, here we are.
You can't throw it. You put the terms on the table.
Yeah, I have no one to blame but myself. So my ooze that I'm going to be talking about today is the Oblex. And I want to start off by saying the plural of Oblex is Oblexes, which drives me nuts. I want to say Obleces just because.
Oh, yeah.
Obleces. Right? But it's Oblexes specifically. So
what does it? Can I just say Obleces in my game to sound fancy? And
yeah, in my head it's always been that way until I looked closer at the actual spelling in the
I feel like because that's so unusual that my table are going to think I'm not smart for saying it that way.
Yeah, right.
They're going to correct me.
All right, so Oblexes, first of all, we get 3 stat blocks in Morton Kanan Presents the Monsters of the Multiverse. So the thing about them is they are intelligent. This is one of our potentially the most intelligent evil ooze that we get. That isn't like a playable ooze like the plasmoid or something, right? So these ones are actually made by mind flayers who experimented on oozes that they found in the Underdark. These sentient oozes feed on minds and memories, preferring high intellects, quick wits, and spellcasters. When they absorb the thoughts and memories of their victims, they can then make nearly identical copies of that person that can move away from the Oblex and occupy other spaces nearby. Then they lure the other people closer with these copies and attack again, sometimes to feed and sometimes to bring captives back for their mind flayer masters. There's a thin strand of slime that connects the Oblex to any copy that it's made, and this strand can't be destroyed or harmed by any means except by closing whatever opening separates the Oblex and this clone. So for example, if the strand is through a doorway and you close the door, that will sever it, and then this simulacrum will just kind of melt on the spot. If an Oblex fully drains and kills a person by drinking their memories, it takes on that person's personality, but twists it because, of course, it's evil. So what that tells us is that it can actually absorb memories and make copies of people even before they're dead. So all they have to do is just drain some memories and then they can duplicate you. Taking on more and more personalities does threaten to drive the oozes mad, though. So when they get too big, they have to slough off a portion of themselves and let that glob of itself and the personality within squelch away, and that's how they procreate. In Monsters of the Multiverse, the stat blocks we get are CR10, CR5, and CR1/4. So big jumps. All Oblices or Oblexes are lawful evil, and they all have really good intelligence, dex, and con, and are immune to being blinded, charmed, deafened, exhausted, or knocked prone. The tiny-sized spawns don't have any skill proficiencies, but the medium-sized adult has a few decent ones that are based on the victims it's consumed in the past, and the huge-sized elder Oblex has a lot of skills with some really solid bonuses. They all have blind sight out to 60 feet and a movement speed of 20 feet. Beyond their blind sight, they're completely blind, but they have an average passive perception, so they can still hear. They're all able to squeeze through a space as wide as 1 inch without squeezing, which means that if you want to slam that door to separate the simulacrum from the actual Oblex itself, then there can't be a gap any bigger than 1 inch, right? And none of them require sleep, so they will just keep doing their thing. Interestingly, every Oblex has an aversion to fire, so if it takes fire damage, it gets disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks until the end of its next turn. There's no lore reason for this. I think it's just because it's an ooze, and that's kind of an oozy thing. So looking at the Elder, it has an AC of 16, 10 D12 plus 50 hit points. So a lot, not a crazy amount, but a lot. And it speaks Common and 6 more languages. And I think that's meant to represent all the people it's absorbed over time, right? So multi-attack that it has gets to hit twice with pseudopods, which do a decent amount of bludgeoning damage and a similar amount of psychic damage, so it packs a punch. You should be able to KO the average level 10 adventurer with about 4 or 5 hits. So that's 2 or 3 rounds. But the multi-attack also lets you do something called Eat Memories. You choose one creature that you can see within 5 feet, and that creature has to make a DC 18 Wisdom save or take 8d10 psychic damage and have memories drained. And what that means is that you subtract a d4 from attack rolls on or ability checks until you finish a rest, or you get the benefit of a greater restoration or heal spell. So it's essentially like Bane, the spell, except it doesn't do or it doesn't affect saves. But if you get hit by this again, it starts to stack. So now you have to roll a d6 and subtract it. And if you get hit again, then it's a d8, and again it's a d10, and after that's a d12. And on the 6th hit, if you're still alive, instead of subtracting a d20, you just fall unconscious for an hour. At the end of that time, you wake up and the effect is over. So constructs, oozes, plants, and undead are immune to this. And if that wasn't enough, the Elder Oblex also gets spellcasting. They can charm person and cast Detect Thoughts at will, and they have the ability to cast 3 times a day each Dimension Door, Dominate Person, Hypnotic Pattern, and Telekinesis. But wait, there's even more. As a bonus action, a piece of the Oblex can create a copy of someone that's stolen, that it has stolen memories from. This copy looks, feels, and sounds exactly like the original, but it smells subtly like sulfur. The copy can move up to 120 feet away. It's still the Oblex, so it shares hit points, AC, pseudopod attacks, movement speed, initiative, and everything else. And the Elder Oblex can create 2d6 plus one of these copies at a time. So that's up to 13 of them. But remember, it only has one turn. So all of these things will be standing around, but only one will be able to actually interact. When we then look at the adult Oblex, as you can imagine, dropping from CR10 to CR5 drops all the numbers. From AC and hit points to attack rolls, damage rolls, forced saves, all that shit. It all drops down about what you would expect. You also lose a few languages, a couple of skills and spells, and you only make 1d4 plus 1 simulacrums at a time. But otherwise, you're still hitting pretty hard. For example, at CR5, you have a +7 to hit with a pseudopod twice during the multi-attack. You're still doing 2d6 plus 4 bludgeoning and 2d6 psychic damage on a hit, and the psychic damage from Eat Memories is a whopping 4d8. The average level 5 character has somewhere in the range of 40 to 52 hit points, and you're doing 36 in a turn if you hit with all three. So that is 2 turn and a kill, right? So this is something that we are likely to see get in some real character deaths, or to be able to drop someone to 0 hit points and then drag them away to Mind Flayers, which I think might be 50% of the motivation if it's not just going to outright eat somebody. The Oblex spawn are a CR1 quarter. These things are a mere nuisance. With no skill bonuses or languages to speak of, pitiful defenses, no multi-attack or spellcasting, not even the ability to eat memories or make copies of victims. These tiny oozes are likely to just be random encounters that telegraph what's coming around the next corner, or their henchmen or pets, or the pain in the ass obstacle that merely lets the bigger ones escape while you get tied up fighting all the little fuckers, right? So you're likely to find these guys around Mind Flayers or just kind of out on their own as dungeon obstacles, whereas the adult and the elder are real crises for the party to deal with. And that's what we have on Oblex. And Oblexes, one of those, on the plural of Oblex.
Oblex I. Interesting. Can you imagine how insulting it would be if your personality was the one that got sloughed off to make a new Oblex? It's like, I don't want this one anymore.
Yeah, but maybe you'd be relieved because then you'd feel like you didn't have so many personalities attached to you.
Well, I think at that point you're dead, right? Because it can make a copy of you, but it doesn't absorb your personality unless it actually kills you. And so once it's killed too many people, then it's got to split off. That's actually my only beef with these at all, is the spawn doesn't have a language, it doesn't have any skills, and it kind of gives you the idea that it's not able to make any copies, right? Like, it's not in the stat block, but it technically has a personality that's been sloughed off of it. There should be one in there, right? But I would absolutely give it one copy that it can make, right?
Yeah.
Until it starts to eat more.
Otherwise, that's the fun part of it, right?
Yeah. How does it get bigger if it can't eat memories?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Let's roll initiative. I got some questions for you guys. Let's do role playing first.
Okay, sorry. I just want to make one more comment. So you know that thing about the fire aversion?
Yeah.
I think it's because these were probably based off the thing. Like, that's the inspiration for these things.
All right, cool. Okay. What do you guys roll? I got 13.
Oh, I didn't roll. I forgot.
I got a 10.
Sorry, it's my first day.
Okay, I got 13. I got 10. Kyle, you got a what?
I haven't rolled yet.
Kyle, what are you doing? What do you think
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know where my dice are at the moment, and so I'm using like the online dice roller.
Go on Google and just search D20 roller. Bang, it'll come up.
I did, and I got a 1.
Okay, good. Which means I'm going first. I think when it comes to, you know what, I'll do role playing tip for this one. And I think it's be aggressive. That doesn't mean attack right away necessarily, but I feel like this would be an aggressive creature, and there may be a situation where you can demonstrate. I'm talking about the elder Oblex here, where you can demonstrate intelligence, which means reason, which means an opportunity for the players to talk their way out of it. So to speak, or certainly manipulate a personality within this creature. So to let them try that, I would probably overwhelm them with tiny spawn, smaller of these creatures, and throw this Elder Brain at them, but then make it known that they can communicate with it. So that would be my role-playing tip for you guys. The monsters know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. I think that the big thing about the role playing that I want to point out is the fact that they don't just look like the person, they feel like them and they sound like them, which means like it's a magical duplication, right? So clearly these people are clothed. They're not showing up naked, which means that it can also create clothing and hats and scabbards with swords in them. And I would give them all of the items, but the items are just very like they will all do bludgeoning. A sword does bludgeoning damage because it's not a sharpened piece of metal, right? It'll hold a magic potion in its hand, but it doesn't actually heal it or anything. It just looks like a magic potion, right? So if it can like mimic anybody's ability or anybody's personal appearance, you got to think there'll be some people that like look like they're hovering off the ground and stuff. So this thing should look like it's hovering off the ground too, right? Maybe it can create little invisible bits to it. So I would have it be especially the elder, a very complex intelligence that is going to put a lot of effort into this. And it's going to be that kind of detail, like when you have it's attacked the wizard and it's escaped. Later on, when the wizard player's not at a session, this Oblex is going to show up again, and the wizard's been relegated to NPC for this one session. Stay back and guard the camp. He's going to say, yeah, the rest of you go ahead. I want to talk to the rogue for a minute. Come here, I got something to show you. And then like he kind of hovers over to where he normally is and pulls out his wand and starts to do a little ritual, and the rogue comes over, and then the Oblex attacks, right? Like it's that kind of intelligence and planning that I want to see out of an Oblex. Otherwise, you just have a doppelganger, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think where there's room to kind of bring them to life a little more, we can take it. The Oozes, I've been weirdly inspired by these Oozes. I didn't expect to be this inspired.
I love them. I love Oozes so much, and I never think to use them in my campaigns as like set pieces. They're always just a random encounter, and I am inspired so much to use these as like main set pieces moving forward.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I think this particular type is just a little bit too lower level now for where my party is, but it's banked for next time. Okay, let's move on to exploration. Let's keep the same initiative order.
No, it's Kyle's turn.
Yeah, Kyle, sorry.
Trying to skip over me? God damn it.
Sorry. Sometimes you lose track, right, of what's going on. You're like, okay, where are we now?
Yeah, no, I have fully skipped people in initiative during games sometimes. Like more than once. And speak up, players, if that happens, right? We got a lot going on. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I'm with you guys. I honestly never would have thought to use oozes. They just don't, I don't know, speak to me that much, because like what's the motivation of an ooze typically is eat, right? Like you can't really like dig into a deep narrative, but I do have an idea kind of for a quest like this. So the Oblex wants to find the most intelligent creatures possible to eat. How can it do it without arising suspicion? And how can you fully use this sulfurous impersonation thing? Because I also didn't realize they could do a whole bunch of different creatures at once. So if this was like a traveling stage show, and that's how it kind of moved from town to town to find new people, right?
I
like
love
it's
that.
A famous acting troupe.
Yeah, and then you get like the invite to meet the main actor like backstage after the show.
Yeah. And invite the king or queen or whatever.
Ooh, so it's just suspicious, just unusual at first.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say anywhere in the stat blocks of the lore of 5th edition that I added this because it is one creature. Therefore, if it creates multiple aspects of itself, it still only has one action to use an initiative, right? That just makes sense. But I really like the idea of it being able to split up, and every one of its simulacra get an attack, for example. But they still all share that one AC, the one pool of hit points. So if they all take a bunch of damage, then there you go. If you're going to split them up and have them all be able to attack with a short sword, for example, then when the player casts fireball on the group of them, each one of them should take the damage, right? And that's going to fuck up the Oblex. So I like
Yeah.
the idea of the traveling troupe because then it's all moving parts of the same hive mind almost. And I think that's way more atmospheric. It's way more frightening.
Okay, so that's it. All right, so
Right.
we're moving on to exploration next. I'm going first though, right? I feel like what would I do for environmental interactions? I think when I think so I'm thinking without the how the hell do you say this word? Simulacrum? I can never say this word.
Yes, simulacrum. You can just say copy.
Simulacrum copy. Without thinking about that, but just thinking about the creature, I'm looking at stat block here for like an adult in its kind of raw state or the elder state. When I think about the environment, when I think about creatures that have lower movement, this is it's a simple tactic of the creatures because they're higher intelligence. They'll put themselves in these situations. Their environment should be that they can change direction and hide quite easily. So I know we're going to kind of talk about the copies and the other parts of it, but I'm just talking tactically here for DMs and environment in the setting where they would surround themselves. They would have quick turns where they can change direction quickly because they can't move very far, but they're intelligent enough to know that they'll need to get out of line of sight and they'll need to get out of straight lines for a lot of spells that the casters will be throwing at them. So when you think environment, think where there's even if it's underground with kind of rock formations and stuff. That's what I would suggest for environments for these guys.
I was actually really thinking about them in like a roadside tavern. Like you walk in and there's like a bartender and a couple of people sitting in the far corner playing cards, and there's you can hear the chef doing something in the kitchen. There's a couple of like barmaids that are hanging out talking to the bartender. One like old drunk guy at the bar, and they are all the same elder Oblex, and you don't know it because the Oblex is underneath the floorboards, and so all of the like maybe there's a where they keep the keg underneath the bar, like the Oblex is sitting down there, just this massive ooze just slowly shifting and moving things around up top, trying to get you guys to split the party. One person gets invited out back, one person gets invited to the kitchen, one person gets invited upstairs to the rooms, right? And it's just a divide and conquer moment.
Yeah, I love it. And that's a really long really long deadly role play encounter that you can use for character development and encouraging role play from the party because it seems unusual, but it's something that they will want to play out. Like, where is this going? If they catch on to it early, I think.
Yeah, I also really like the idea too that if all of them, like if you, I'm just going to roll initiative. And Terry, I've done this a lot on my table. Look, this is a social encounter. I'm just going to roll initiative so that we can keep track of who's saying what in what order. Otherwise, someone's going to bowl over everybody else. So, and I do this, and my players are used to me rolling initiative for exploration or role playing or whatever. So if I roll initiative for role playing and I separate them all, and then in initiative, the players on the table can see the guy out back getting jumped. And then 2 rounds later, the guy upstairs gets jumped, right? Yeah. And like one at a time, they're all in combat with the same creature. But then every time they knock it down to a certain amount of hit points, the creature's face just starts to melt. Like one of its eyes droops down into its cheekbone. It makes a wet gurgling noise and then suddenly slurps down into a tiny version of itself. And that's when you notice this little invisible strand that sucks back in behind the bar, right? Like, yeah, I think that would scare the shit out of the players. Be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. I love it. I love creeping them out.
Yeah, you know what? For the way it works and how it extends strands of slime, it would definitely want to make its lair in somewhere that has a lot of different holes. So I imagine something like it would almost cultivate a colony of mice inside its lair so that they would create all these natural kind of looking crevices that are nicely hidden, or small birds or something like that. Just something very, very odd. Like there might be a whole bunch of mice running around this tavern and stuff, and just nobody that's already there when your party arrives reacts.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, are cranium rats, are they related to mind flayers as well? I can't remember.
I'm not sure. Were they created by, that sounds like a...
I mean, just throw it in there. No one's going to ask questions. It fits thematically.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
They're minds. We don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're making cranium rats.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't even know what book the cranium rats are in anymore. I've lost track of them because I never used
cranium rat apparently in Modern Times.
Yeah. They are Mind Flayer creations as well.
Beauty. There you go.
So I love make it dirty. I like it. Oh, that's how you keep swarms interesting as well. Oh, not swarms. You can't move the mob, I suppose, if you throw a number of them. Yeah. Okay, beauty. What are we moving on to? Combat? Me? Oh, okay. Wow, sorry. I keep looking at my notes thinking other people answering. Okay, how does it done? Hunt tactics. It's going to be piggybacking off what Adam said, but you got me thinking. Yeah, this is going to be why work hard, work smart. This thing knows how to set the trap. It knows how to engage. It knows how to engage in the right way with the type of personality that's in front of it, I think. So it's a bit meta from the DM, but you would know how to irritate the barbarian to make him go through the back to take the bait. But you would know how to convince that one player that they could maybe be persuaded by treasure or something valuable for them if they go and talk to this person in another room. So I would certainly say it should be an ambush like that. And that idea of separating the party right from the start, they're going to feel so stupid. You know, when you just kick yourself, like, how do we fall for that? It's going to give that perfect moment, I think, for a DM.
Yeah. My big thing too is that I think if combat breaks out, you've got to remember that you're a spellcaster when you're one of the two bigger ones, and not the little guys. The little guys are just piles of hit points. They got 18 hit points and 13 AC. They're fucking garbage. They're wasting the action economy. That's what they're there for, right? Is just eating up attacks. But the elder, the adult, you've got spell casting. With the elder, you have charm person, you've got dominate person, hypnotic pattern. You are going to try to separate the party and trying to not fight. Come here, follow me. Let's just step behind the curtain for a minute, right? This is the first step of initiative, right? Before initiative ever kicks off, split the party. That's what this creature's trying to do. Then when the fight hits, they're going to do whatever they can to keep distance with telekinesis. Because remember, telekinesis can fucking throw people, right? And if you only have 20 feet of movement, you want people to get further away from you so that they can't close the gap. You close a gap on your turn, on your terms, or you bring them closer to you so that you can hit on the next round. But whatever happens, you never fight to the death. You have Dimension Door, and you have Dimension Door for a reason. Get the fuck out, right? Because then, if you've had a couple of successful hits, you can now mimic and imitate the party, and you have the ability to move between dimensions, jump to other planes, and then come back later. You can replace the party in certain towns, right? You can ambush them in the future when there's a player that's away from the table, right? Anytime someone's not at the table, the rest of the party should be suspicious as all hell, right? This is where we start to get into the invasion of the body snatchers, the thing, the paranoia of never go anywhere alone, never split the party, always in groups of two, right? Because if you go off by yourself, no one's ever sure if that's you coming back or if it's the Oblex. And as a DM, I might have little pieces of paper that I hand out to my players saying, you are now the Oblex. Yeah. Right? And so, like, your character went off to go scout ahead, and then 20 minutes later stepped out from behind a tree and said, so there's nothing over there. Let's keep moving forward, right? This is how, like, the real character's fine. He just got hit 7 sessions ago. The Oblex Dimension Door out, and now we have another encounter with it, right? As it slowly collects all of the party members. So this is I think one of the more interesting recurring villains, but it's dependent upon your detect thoughts, charm person, dominate person, and Dimension Door, right? Like, look at those spells. The other stuff is really good, but unless you can get the kill in, use your spells early and Dimension Door out. Right. Yeah.
We were talking earlier about players being suspicious of NPCs. Well, they're not going to be suspicious of NPCs if they're suspicious of each other.
Yay.
You know what? Sometimes I don't, Adam, you kind of reminded me of the importance of initiative there, even when it's role play encounters. And even if you know it's going to likely build up to a combat, because that's what the scene is you're doing, you can get that initiative early and catch them off guard. Say, guys, you're all talking at once. Okay, let's roll initiative. And then you guys can each throw out your turn throughout the role play encounter. Get them early and hold that initiative. And then let the encounter escalate. You know, where it escalates to the point where the barbarian's like, fuck this, I want to hit him. And you're already in initiative. It's like your turn, son. And then they start getting pissed off. And then I build that tension by sneaking in that initiative early. And then you're going to have a drawn out, intense role play encounter, which will lead to a combat encounter that nobody expected. So that's the tactic for me.
The other way to add tension to that moment is when, and I've done this, it doesn't always work, but when it pops off, it's great. When you have one player who's had their character leave for something, but it's not like other side of town. It's, I'm going to go upstairs for a minute.
Yeah.
Right. And then everyone else is talking, and that player's like, well, hey, guys, don't forget about this. You're like, hey, look, you're still 3 turns away. And then when combat breaks out, they're looking at you going, how many turns away am I? And they're watching their turn pass in initiative as they are running back as quickly as possible, just wasting their turn trying to get there to come in and save the day, right? And especially when you've got something that is splitting the party, but it has to split them within 120 feet in any given direction. So at best, you're going, what is that, 200, well, it's huge size, so it's 15 feet. So 120 left, 120 right is 240, so 255 feet away from each other, right? If that's as far as it, like, all the guys are close enough to cover that in what, 3, 4, 5 rounds, depending on, you know, the class that they are. Yeah. It's going to have people stressed that they're close but not close enough.
Yeah. And then when you can, I love those moments because you're tempting them to start burning some big shit. They're like, oh, am I burning my spell slots for this? Am I using that item that it's only got so many charges so I can get there faster? Can I use this item that I was not intending on using in this moment, but it would work? You encourage them to, you stress them, and you get them looking for answers that are not their usual.
Mm-hmm.
All right, beauty. That's the end of that one. Okay, so that one. Okay, I'm getting it. Okay, any final thoughts before we move it on to the next one?
Yeah. Okay. So 2 things, I guess. One of the ways it could hunt you is it like it wants to choose its own grounds, right? So if it hits you and does the eat memories thing, could it then? Oh, I guess the spawn doesn't really get the whole body shaping thing, because I was gonna say, like, what it could do is if it really wanted to fuck you over, it would hit one of your party members and then slough off your personality somewhere where it could cause a bunch of damage to lure you back into the area, because it'd be like, hey, someone that looks exactly like you is causing a whole bunch of shitload of trouble in this other kingdom.
Yeah.
But you can get that another way, a little bit differently. Let's say that it kills a beloved NPC, or it, you know, kills one of the party members, right? Or even a celebrity NPC like the prince, right? Whatever it is. They kill somebody, and then they start to get word that person is still around in the next town over. We just saw they're not dead, right? All the players are going to think that they're back from the dead. There's some sort of fiend thing going on. It's an illusion of some sort. And no, it's the elder Oblex consumed them and then sloughed off specifically that, and that is the spawn that's walking around.
It gets creepy with these guys. I love it.
There is a lot of like fun ways you can play with it.
Yeah, I'm all about it. I really love these guys. I didn't know much about them before we started, but before I started the research on them, but there's a lot of fun opportunities here, especially if you're going to be doing Spelljammer, because you got cargo holds and shit to hide in, and now you got alien weirdness, and like that could be some paranoia on a spaceship.
Oh yeah, and you could stress that out over a longer journey as well. You know, that's good. I didn't expect this to be one of my favorite creature types. Okay, moving along, we're going to Adam. What do you have for us next?
Nope, I am Adam, and I did the Oblex.
Yeah.
Okay, Kyle, you're next.
Okay, so I'm doing the Slithering Tracker. So the Slithering Tracker was originally found in 2nd edition, but then it went away for a while, and then reappeared in Folo's Guide to Monsters, and then reprinted again in the Monsters of the Multiverse, but with a couple of changes to its stat block. There isn't really much to them in terms of lore. They basically are created through a ritual known to hags, liches, and priests who worship gods of vengeance. And these rituals can only be performed on willing creatures whose only goal is taking revenge on someone who has done them wrong. So the ritual essentially sucks all the moisture from them and renders them into something that looks exactly like a puddle. And while it kills the body, it leaves their mind and its all-encompassing desire for revenge intact. Slithering trackers essentially move along the ground while tasting it for any hint of their prey. And when they do finally find it, they rise up and kind of enshroud their target and attempt to drown them while almost also simultaneously trying to drain them of blood. So while normally indistinguishable from a puddle, a slithering tracker that has killed its prey will be easier to find for a short period of time, as the puddle will be tinged red by the blood of its victim. After they've achieved their primary goal, a slithering tracker may move on to new targets, such as friends or accomplices of its victim. However, most of the time, the tracker's mind just can't really handle being a puddle, and being unable to cope in its new circumstances with its lust for blood will just kind of go mad and attempt to kill anyone around it until it is destroyed. So for stat block, these are medium ooze creatures that are typically chaotic evil. Although, I mean, if you're talking about something that's just hungry for revenge, I don't think that really has an alignment. But they have an AC of 14, averaging 39 hit points. They have 30 feet of walking, climbing, and swimming speed. They're mostly average across the board in terms of stats, with their highest being Dex with a 19 and Strength with a 16. For skills, they have a +8 to Stealth and a +6 to Survival. They are vulnerable to cold and fire damage. They are resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. And they are immune to the blind, deafened, exhausted, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, prone, restrained, and unconscious conditions. They have 120 feet of blind sight, passive perception of 12, and they understand the language they knew in their previous form, but can't speak any. So for traits, they have false appearance. So if it's motionless at the start of combat, it has advantage on its initiative roll. And if a creature hasn't actually seen the slithering tracker move or act, the creature must pass a DC 18 intelligence investigation check to discern that the slithering tracker isn't a puddle. They also get the liquid form, so the slithering tracker can enter an enemy's space and stop there. They can also move through a space as narrow as 1 inch without squeezing. They also get spider climb, so that means they can climb on difficult surfaces, including upside down on ceilings, without needing to make an ability check. For actions, they get a slam attack, which is a +5 to hit, 5-foot reach, and deals 1d10 +3 bludgeoning damage. And then the second one they get is Life Leech. So this is their true ultimate attack kind of thing. So one large or smaller creature that the slithering tracker can see within 5 feet of it has to pass a DC 13 dexterity saving throw or be grappled. And until this grapple ends, the target is restrained and unable to breathe unless it can breathe underwater. In addition to this, the grappled creature takes 3d10 necrotic damage at the start of each of its turn, and the slithering tracker can only grapple one creature at a time. And while a creature is grappled in this way, any damage dealt to the tracker, it only takes half that damage, while the target it is grappling receives the other half. As a bonus action, it gets watery stealth. So if it's underwater, the tracker can take the hide action and make stealth checks with advantage. That is it.
That is so weirdly specific. It's just an assassin, but it's so weirdly specific how it does it. It's very cool.
But weirdly specific is right. It's
I feel like when whoever came up with this way back in the day, like whoever dreamt this up, had a specific kind of encounter they wanted to do. They made this monster for it and then said, this is pretty good, let's publish it.
Yeah.
That was effective.
Yeah.
But then I feel like it's just, I'm not sure how to roleplay. I'm going to give my thoughts on roleplay, I guess, when we get to it. Kyle, you ready for us to roll on this one?
Yeah.
Let's do it. I just had low 3.
Ooh, 5.
Got a 15.
Okay. 5. Kyle, you're first.
I don't really have much for role playing. I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. But for quest ideas, I really like the idea of like a whole bunch of these. Like I was thinking kind of like a defeated army or something like that, where, you know they've already lost, but they are pissed off. So a whole like legion of people undergo this ritual at the same time so that they can get one final act of revenge against the person or against their enemies. That, or if you want to go really dark, I was thinking you could, sorry, you want to go really dark?
No, that was pretty dark. I'll go really, hey man, I'll
Yeah.
keep going. Who you talking to? I'm ready.
Okay. A whole orphanage that got tired of being robbed by bandits.
And they all all the children hold hands and summon one of these things.
Oh, I was thinking like a whole orphanage turns into these things, but yeah, that works too.
Oh shit. Yeah, that's much darker. Yeah.
These guys, man, Kyle, you're thinking on a bigger level than me. What did I get? 3. So Adam, it's you to go next.
It is okay, so walk me through this. It's summoned or created by hags, liches, and evil priests. That's the deal.
A person is turned into one of these. So they go up to a hag, a lich, or a priest and go, I want vengeance. How do I get it? And they go, okay, well, we're going to have to perform this ritual and turn you into this ultimate killer kind of thing.
Can we do it also as the only way to save their life or something one time as well? Like, there's got to be different scenarios we can throw this as a solution at them.
Well, you already have revenants that are like returned from the dead to do their unfinished business, which is usually to fucking kill somebody, right? You've got crawling claws that are just disembodied undead hands that run around specifically hunting people down to assassinate them. And now Slithering Tracker is another one of these, like, revenge, and the person is dead, right? Like when they get turned into one of these.
No, so they are their mind is full when they get turned into one of these. So they like retain their personality, who they are, everything about themselves, but it's just like it kicks their need for revenge into overdrive. So it's like an all-encompassing obsession. All it wants to do is track down this person, and it's like a singular person that it is trying to kill.
But then my question is, do they turn back into the original person, or are they stuck as a Slithering Tracker?
No, they're stuck as a Slithering Tracker. Like, it's part of the lore is that once they've completed their mission, they either start moving on to anybody who was friends or family with, and just going real serial killer, or it goes insane and just starts attacking everything around it until someone kills it.
See, this I think is absolutely brilliant for like the quest hook of you get approached by a person who has a barrel, and the barrel keeps making thumping noises, and they're like, hey, inside the barrel is my husband, wife, brother, father, child, like whoever it is, someone super important to them. And they say they made a deal with the hag to get revenge when so and so such and such a thing happened. I want them back. Can you please, the party, put together a ritual to return the Slithering Tracker back to its original form? Like I have a spell book that'll tell you how to do it, but I don't have the power or the means. Can I hire you to do it? And then the party will go ahead and they'll like take this on, and this cool little side quest. They'll get the 3 things they need: the magic chalk to draw the circle, and the wand of this, and the cauldron of that, and blah blah blah. And then they come back to find the original quest giver dead and the barrel open and the Slithering Tracker there going to attack them. And the question is, do they save the tracker and return it, or do they then just combat and kill it? And I think this would be really cool for like a tier 1 party. It's only a CR of 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this they could kill it, but I'm curious to know if they would, once they've gone to all the trouble of like casting the spell to get it back, right? To return it to normal.
Interesting. It would almost be more torture to bring that person back and then tell them that you just killed your loved one.
Right. But I mean, that's why you have the, I don't know, sister, wife, husband, whoever it was, the original quest giver, just like, no matter what happens, please bring this person back. It's my dying wish. Right. And then sure enough, they're dead. And like, does the party honor that? Or are they just murder hopeless? They're like, well, fuck it, we already got paid.
Yeah.
Terry, that's me. Do you have any role-playing ideas for this guy?
I'm thinking. What I'm thinking here is, because I mean they're relatively intelligent, right? Like they know as much as we do. They can figure it out, but they've got a higher wisdom than the average creature, which makes me think their understanding of the world around them, of what's going on, is quite high. So even though they're chaotic evil and they have this thing where it's almost like they're that aggression, I wonder if that's just a result of just being in pain. But it makes me think that maybe they would try and express themselves to the person they were killing. I don't think it would just be like blind sort of rage. I feel like if it's revenge, they would, even though they can't speak, they're intelligent enough to try and express their anger. So because they have a higher intelligence and a higher wisdom, I would role play them more as trying to communicate, especially if it's revenge based. I feel like they would want their target to know who they were, even if they're not as they were before.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think how we would kind of expand on this. Like when I see creatures like this, where it's like they're chaotic evil, so it's like, okay, maybe that means they're just kind of blind rage or whatever. Then it's like, how do I exaggerate that and make it more interesting? And when I see a creature with a high enough intelligence like this, that's what I lean towards.
I would honestly, it's got an average intelligence. It says it can't speak, but I think it's just because it's like liquid. It's an ooze. I would have it be able to bubble up words like justice or vengeance or just little things like this, right?
A little cheesy, yeah.
Yeah, and you can see that it can make a face, right? I assume that face should be the person they originally were. So in that final moment when they're killing somebody, they show them, this is me. Like their face appears like in the front of them, and they burgle up some sort of like justice and then get the kill for that last moment.
Yeah.
And chaotic evil, sure, but that feels lawful evil to me until they go crazy. They've done it, and now they're just on a killing spree, right?
Yeah.
So I would have a truly like obvious personality shift in almost the body language of this thing once it gets its kill in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love it. Okay, I think that's us moving on to exploration, right, Kyle?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the whole point of these is that you don't know they're there until they attack you, right? You're not supposed to see. They are supposed to be the ultimate killer, ultimate hider. They don't carry anything on them. They don't have nests. They are constantly on the move until they get what they want.
Do you let them have some sort of like watery trail, like the carpet's wet for the next 10 minutes after they enter the room?
I don't think so, because they don't leave anything behind, right? It's all them.
Yeah.
Right. It's basically, so the idea is that it's not even water. It just looks like a puddle. Like the ritual, it says the ritual sucks all the moisture from their body and turns them just into this pool is the best descriptor that you can really use. But it's all them. There's nothing left. Like imagine if you were nothing but skin. Like that's kind of my take on what they are.
Yeah, I'm looking at the art, and it's got all these like, it's not even droplets. It's just like wet strands hanging off of them because it's not dripping. You're right. It's just it's this weird amorphous this slime, right?
Yeah.
They are an ooze. They're not a water elemental. So yeah, they're not leaving wetness by. I don't think there is a lot. I think it doesn't say it doesn't breathe. So maybe you can hear it breathing in the darkness before it attacks, although even that doesn't make sense. I feel like this shouldn't need to eat, sleep, drink, or breathe, right?
Actually, funnily enough, it doesn't have that.
I would add that. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
That's what it should have.
Yeah. It should feel pretty relentless as well, right? Like it doesn't need to pause for these things.
It's a little T1000, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
T1000 vibes. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. For the exploration, I mean, it's gonna leave an ugly corpse of it's also gonna leave a hollowed out husk of itself. I guess maybe that's the exploration that you have is like because they'll go to a lich or a hag or someone, right? You may find their dried out corpse, their husk, and be like, what the fuck is that? And then realize, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it does say that like for a short time after they kill someone that they will be tinged red because they've absorbed all their kill's blood.
Oh, I love that. Especially if you run into one where it's tinged red. It's like it's in the mood. It's already started.
Yeah.
No, I like that. I like that a lot. I also like the idea that they're absorbing the blood of their victims as well. And, if one of these things gets out of control, I might make it huge sized because it's just gotten too many people. It's adding to their system.
Yeah. When I think, is it me? Who's
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I just want to.
When I think exploration like this, and I see that lower challenge rating of what was it? It was 3.
Yeah.
It's okay. If I've had a pretty clean and squeaky game so far, goblins, elves, whatever, it's like, can this be the first horrific thing that I throw at them where they're like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's not all just clean D&D. I love the idea of the husks, how it would the condition of the bodies it would leave behind. This would be the first thing I'll throw at them where they're probably disgusted by it, and the first relentless sort of enemy. So this is the first opportunity, I think, to disgust your party.
I love it.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Kyle?
I was gonna say, going back to what we were talking about earlier, where what happens after it gets its kill. If it goes insane and it just starts stealing body parts to try to get its own body back.
Oh, cool.
Sure. Yeah. It's intelligent enough that it would have ideas, I would say, right? So
yeah, so it's like stealing bones out of people and like trying to incorporate it into its structure, so you might need it, and it would just have, I don't know, all these strange appendages.
Yeah.
I haven't fully fleshed out the thought. It's just kind of.
I like where you're going.
I like that it says the mind can't cope with being trapped in liquid form, and so it's just looking for blood, and it is killing indiscriminately, right? What if I'd like grabbing the body parts? Could you picture this like long, like the thing is 8 feet long now because it's got a bunch of kills. It's blood red, and it's kind of like that gross tumor looking thing that we see in the artwork for it. But it's just got like a bunch of severed limbs hanging off of it. Like it has 3 left legs because it's not discerning. It's gone mad. It's quite insane. It doesn't matter that it has a right leg and a left leg already. So you're gonna keep adding legs. And so like this thing could be just absolute body horror if you wanted to lean into it.
Yeah, just disgusting. I like it though. I like throwing these things out of nowhere where it's unexpected and it's like, oh my God, it's just gross, but it's good sometimes. All right, we're moving on to combat. Kyle, combat, you're first.
Combat. I mean, it's an ambush predator, so it is going to wait until, and that's what its stat block kind of centers around too, right? It's if you don't know it's there, it has advantage on initiative, and it requires a DC 18 intelligence check. So it's going to find like a narrow hallway where you're gonna have to pass, and then that's when it's gonna just rise up and envelop you, or maybe get you underwater. Oh, it can disguise itself as bath water.
That's fucking disgusting, but I love it. Go on.
That's pretty much it.
That's
Oh, sorry, I was asking for too much detail. Yeah, sorry. The after effects are implied. Sorry.
Terry needs to know if there's bubbles in the bath water. That's what he's looking for, Kyle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. It's nice lavender scented too.
The wizard casts bath bomb and it just kind of fizzes nicely.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Slithering Tracker is just utterly miserable as it turns pink and has glitter in it.
It's just tingly. So, all right, Adam, it's you.
Stop it. I'm trying to be angry. Stop it. You're making me glitter. I'm so mad.
You're making me glitter.
My big combat thing here is that clearly you're gonna life leech first. That's where you start, right? The only reason that there's a slam at all is because the life leech does damage as long as you're still grappling. So once you're grappled, you can only do it to one creature at a time, right? This slam attack that you can do at the same time is either going to be used to continue to attack the creature you're already grappling and doing that necrotic damage to, or it's going to be to fight somebody else that's trying to hit you, right? So if it like curls up on the wizard, for example, the barbarian comes over and starts smashing at it, it should be able to fight back because it doesn't need to use an action to maintain the grapple. So now it's essentially first round life leech. Second round is almost multi-attack, assuming that you're still grappled, right? Because you're doing the damage to whoever you grappled last round, and now you're also doing a slam attack to somebody, right? Also, 3d10 necrotic damage at CR3 is a kill. This is an assassin in tier 1, right? And like a very quick assassin too. If he's going after the party, your party, you could end up in a death spiral easily.
Yeah. And it's smart enough to know who to go for first, right? Like it's going to go for that wizard that's nice and squishy. So it's going to wait for the barbarian to pass through that door. And then as the wizard's coming through, that's when it's going to get it, try to envelop it, right? Because they also can't breathe, so they probably can't talk and make noise. So your party might not even notice that your wizard is getting strangled in the back.
Yeah. How big is this? It's medium sized. Okay.
Medium.
So this thing could fill up a barrel. Oh my God. It's sitting there waiting in the barrel for people to go bobbing for apples, waiting for its victim.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love it as the combat inspiration is if you can have the target be one of the party. And I like it. when there's like a comeuppance for things. And Adam, I feel like you've done this before as well, where it's like you just whatever the cocky fighter said, and I've been that fighter or the barbarian or something, or whoever insults an NPC, they're coming back for them later, and I'll see you in 4 or 5 levels. And I feel like this can be this maybe not 4 or 5 levels for this one, but the first kind of bit of comeuppance and consequences of this NPC that was marked and killed coming back and would have one single target within the party, and you'll get the why me moment as this thing tries to take out one of the party. And if you know they have a way to revivify or something at this point, or some sort of item, this can be their kind of shock. So I like the revenge arc for this NPC that would ultimately become the Slithering Tracker.
I just want to say, you absolutely can do this. I'll see you in a couple of levels, because if this is something that pops off at level 1 or 2, and the Slithering Tracker shows up at level 5 or 6 even, you got to remember the CR is not against one person, it's against a party of people, right? Like the action economy should be 4 or 5 to 1, right? So that's why it's a CR3. It is not deadly against a 3rd level party. Against a 2nd level party, it is deadly. But if you take away party members, again, if you split the party, you can attack a level 5 character or a level 6 character, even if they're one of the D6 hit point characters, right? So
that's right. You're not trying to be deadly to the party. You're trying to be deadly to a single character with this creature. I have that thing of play with each of them and play with all of them. When I'm going to play with this particular person. This time it's I'm coming for you, motherfucker. And this is consequences.
Yeah. Although again, you got to make sure you're doing it to the right person. Some players might feel targeted and get butthurt, right?
Yeah, you can. It's all about how you communicate it, right? And you can even communicate afterwards. It'd be like, did you know who that was? You know?
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I might use this to specifically target a player, right? Like if you've got a murder hobo and they killed someone that's innocuous just because it seemed convenient at the time. This seems like this is the aggrieved spouse, or the father who's getting old, and how dare you kill my only living child, or something like that, right? This is the consequences to party actions and immediately jumping to violence to fix any situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Yeah, you can get creepy with these. You can get where the players will be caught off guard with. It's part of the mysteries kind of afterwards, like what the hell was this, or where the hell did this come from? I like it. They're creepy.
Oh, and you could keep doing it too, right? Like, because what if it was you killed the father and he had 6 sons.
Yeah.
Right? All of them hell-bent on revenge.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Okay, we got to move on. Final one?
It's finally you, Terry.
Okay, here we go. I've been strapped in. Okay, I have from Mordenkainen's the Juiblex. Juiblex. Looks like you might want to say Juiblex. It's not. It's Juiblex. This is from Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse. And this creature is described as a shuddering, glistening cone of jelly and slime, which is striated with veins of black and green, said to have baleful red eyes. Dan will be pleased to hear. That swim through its gelatinous body and dripping pseudopods of ooze that writhe with latent hunger in every direction all at once. Of all of the demon lords of Abyss, Juiblex is probably the simplest and therefore maybe the easiest to understand if you want to use this DM'd as a more interesting creature, but it feels a little bit otherworldly. Probably the most simplest in his goals. Juiblex has no goals other than to simply exist, destroy, and kill and corrode anything he can. So go nuts. No worries about a backstory on this one. He hates everything and revels only in destruction. When it comes to worshippers, there's no organized cult of Juiblex within the D&D lore, although a few demented souls do revere the faceless lord, as he's known as a god. I would imagine that his minions would be probably countless slimes, oozes, and different jellies that exist in the depths of his realm in the abyss, though really they would not knowingly or willingly serve Juiblex. They would just, Juiblex would just be in the area, I would imagine. They wouldn't knowingly worship him. That's just where they're situated, where they're drawn to.
The only person that actually worships him is that really sweaty guy that you remember from high school.
Yeah, what was the name of our sweaty guy? Let me think. You know what? We weren't too bad. Not any heavy sweaters. No one that I would say deserved the title of a heavy sweater anyway. But I only had a small high school. I had a small local high school. It was only like maybe 500 people in it total across all grades.
If you don't know who it was, it probably means it's you.
Do you think? Was it me? Oh my god. Nah, I feel like somebody would have told me. it was. I don't think
Well,
so.
you got good friends then.
Yeah, I do. I'm pretty lucky on that front. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we still
Juiblex
haven't told Brad, right? So
Yeah.
Juiblex shares the second 122nd layer of the Abyss with Zooptmoy, who is the Lady of Fungi. The two demons have a long history of conflict and war, with Juiblex's constant attempts to surge upwards into Zooptmoy's holdings, which is a constant source of contention between the two. There are other demons who despise and loathe Juiblex as well, yet most see him as a faceless menace that poses a threat only to those who would be foolish enough to stand in front of him. When it comes to combat, Juiblex closes to melee reach as soon as possible. I would say that he would spread his attacks among every victim in reach, or so the lore says anyway, attempting to constrict and then engulf each of them. He generally uses his ability to create slime attack creatures just out of reach, or to create barriers to prevent other enemies from reaching him safely. And when I go to the stat block here, I actually really enjoy Juiblex. So he's a huge fiend, counts as a demon actually, chaotic evil, at high armor class 18 with its natural armor. So this is a big test to throw at your party here with a high AC like that. Hit points 350, so 28 d12 plus 168, and it has a standard speed of 30 feet, but it also has a climb speed of 30 feet as well. So now you start to think 3D. Strength is definitely its strongest stat at 24. It has other strong stats as well. Constitution is 23, and then intelligence and wisdom both very high as well. Charisma and dexterity are a little bit low. It's not very dexterous at all with a 10. Saving throws, dexterity, constitution, and wisdom. Its resistance is cold, fire, lightning. I like cold, fire, lightning, I'll say here, because those tend to be the go-tos, right? If they've got a wand of lightning, or they want to start blasting their fireball or something, those are the go-to spells. And so essentially you can mitigate the damage of a go-to round from your blasters with these resistances. So that's why those are the three that I like to have on any creature. Damage immunities: acid, poison, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing that is non-magical, so you're safe there again. Condition immunities: blinded, charmed, deafened, exhaustion, frightened, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, restrained, stunned, and unconscious. Those are all of the condition immunities. So good luck. Good luck. Senses: true sight 120 feet, passive perception of 22. So it is most likely going to know that you're coming, or really we're saying you're not going to get very close if you have to keep making this roll for stealth with a high passive perception. Languages: all languages, and telepathy up to 120 feet, has a challenge rating of 23. I feel like I just want to pause here before I go any further. If anyone wants to weigh in on anything I've said so far, because it already sounds immense, this creature.
this is what you get to expect with the Demon Lord.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's not going to go toe to toe with Orcus or Demogorgon, but like he's up there. He's really up there. This is an existential threat.
And it's just, realistically, you're just wasting rounds trying to get something to land if you don't know what you're up against. You're throwing all of these conditions at it, no doubt. You're throwing probably the big three of cold, fire, and lightning at it for damage. You're just spending those first few rounds figuring out how nothing that you would go to is going to work.
I like it because you are going to hear the name Juiblex for entire levels.
Yeah.
Before you ever run across them. Like, you don't come across, this is not a random encounter, right?
No.
This is the end of the quest.
Yeah. Okay. Looking at attributes here, has the attribute of foul. So any creature other than an ooze that starts its turn within 10 feet, so everybody melee, of Juiblex must succeed on a DC 21 Constitution saving throw or be poisoned. And just to remind you real quick, poisoned means that you have disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. That's until the start of the creature's next turn. Legendary resistances, of course, let's get 3 a day. So your big 3 spells, they've got a resistance against them. Magic resistance, and that Juiblex has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. So every spell that you throw at it now that has an effect, he has advantage on the saving throw. And then regeneration: Juiblex regains 20 hit points at the start of its turn. If it takes fire or radiant damage, this trait doesn't function at the start of its next turn, and Juiblex dies only if it starts its turn with 0 hit points and doesn't regenerate. It has spider climb, so they can climb difficult surfaces. It has that climb speed. We expected that. Multi-attack, 3 acid lash attacks. The acid lash, it's a melee or a ranged weapon attack. Plus 14 to hit with this one, reach of 10 feet, or a ranged attack of 60 to 120 feet. Single target, average damage 4d6 plus 7, and its acid damage. Any creature killed by this attack is drawn into Juiblex's body, where the corpse is dissolved after 1 minute. I love this. Just get this out right away. Just freak them out a little bit. Get them on the back foot right from the start. Or we can eject slime, recharges on a 5 or 6. Juiblex spews out a corrosive slime. This is going to target a single creature, and Juiblex must be able to see it within 30 feet. Target must succeed on a DC 21 saving throw, or we're looking at 10d10 acid damage. And unless the target avoids all of this damage, any metal armor worn by the target is going to take a permanent -1 penalty to its AC. And any metal that the target is carrying or wearing is going to take a permanent -1 penalty to its damage as well. And on any object, it drops to, what's this one? And an object drops to -5. Oh, sorry. Yeah, if a single piece of armor or weapon drops to -5, it's destroyed. I need that. Spellcasting at will, detect magic, then 3 times per day, contagion and gaseous form. Gaseous forms, I just can't get behind it. It's not the time for it, but I just don't like it. As legendary actions, so Juiblex can take 3 legendary actions. I know you guys are jumping on mute because you're just trying to be respectful to let me get it out, but sometimes it's like a tough crowd. So 3 legendary actions for any of these. So it can attack, so it can make 1 acid lash attack, or it can use its corrupting touch. This is 2 actions. It's a melee weapon attack. It's +14 to hit, reach 10 feet. We're looking at 4d6 +7 poison damage, and the target is slimed. Until the slime is scraped off with an action, the target is poisoned, and any creature other than the ooze is poisoned while within 10 feet of the target. That's important to note as well. Lair actions. So these will come on initiative count 20 as always. Green slime. So a green slime is in the creature, is in the hazard green slime. Appears on a spot on the ceiling that the Juiblex chooses within the lair, and the slime disintegrates after 1 hour. Or it can create slippery slime. It creates a square slippery slime on the ground in the area where it can see, and the area can be up to 10 feet on each side. We're looking at a DC 21 dexterity saving throw, or you fall prone and you slide 10 feet in a random direction determined by a D8 roll. DMs, just use what you have in front of you. Here's my little side note. If this is a consequence, then there must be hazards around that complement that consequence for you. So think, okay, they're going to slime in 10 feet in any direction on a D8. So think about those hazards, those potential threats.
Ledges and spikes and
all of that fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's, real quick, Adam, I remember when you taught me with the abilities, when I would think too tactically on some of the creatures, and when you see a breath weapon or some kind of signature ability, hey, that's what we're here for. That's the movie. Do the thing. Don't try and hide and wait 3 rounds or whatever. And this is it exactly here. Build your environment around these hazards. DM, do the thing. You've got it. And this is a perfect example.
Yeah. I would imagine there's like just tons of pits of acid all over the battlefield.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's got lair actions, right? And regional effects, and like just so much going on with this guy.
Yeah. Okay, what about sticky slime? So sticky slime, Juiblex slimes a square area on the ground that it can see within the lair, can be up to 10 feet on any side. It's DC 21 strength saving throw this time, or they become restrained. When a creature enters the area for the first time on a turn or ends its turn there, that creature must make the same save though. And the restrained creature is stuck as long as it remains in the slimy area or until it breaks free. The restrained creature or another creature that can reach it can use its action to try and break free. It's going to be DC 21 strength check again to be able to do it. Slime lasts for 1 hour or until it is burned away with fire. If the slime is set on fire, it burns away after 1 round. Any creature that starts its turn in the burning slime takes 4d10 fire damage. This is why I love this one, okay? Because if this creature dies, well, Juiblex is it. If you're coming against Juiblex, you're already in combat. So I'm thinking, how can I use this, right? If they can set on fire here with this slime, this sticky slime, it's like I'm just thinking ways to set them on fire if I can. Sorry, but we're going off. Okay, regional effects. There's a number of regional effects. Acidic water, so small bodies of water such as ponds or wells within 1 mile of the lair turn highly acidic, corroding any object that touches them. Kyle, so go back to your point. The text is telling us to put these pools of acid immediately by this creature, correct?
Okay, yeah.
Right, so we're on. That's our permission, DMs, to do this by the regional effects here. Corrupted nature. Within 6 miles of the lair, all wisdom, medicine, and survival checks have disadvantage. Ooh, so maybe we're getting lost. Slime surfaces within 6 miles of the lair are frequently covered by a thin film of slime, which is slick and sticks to anything that touches it. That means they're gross by the time they get there. And if Juiblex dies, these effects fade over the course of 1d10 days. That's Juiblex, team. What do you think?
Fucking love
my
it.
favorite, but I'm biased. Obviously, it's a demon lord, basically.
Juiblex.
It's neat.
Sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, I was just like, it's I love the flavor of it. It's just so gross and weird and I don't know, world ending.
Yeah.
I love it because you would think you would just be like a mountain, like a just a big blob of slime, right? Like it's just a huge thing of slime or a gelatinous cube-ish looking thing. But the artwork, he's tendrils and pseudopods, and there's just teeth and eyes growing out of literally everything.
Yeah.
It's so fucking weird. This is truly a cosmic horror, and I love it so much for that. And I love the idea of you pissing off Juiblex, and then all of a sudden, all of the eyes and all of the mouths just like morph over onto the front facing surface of it, so that it's looking directly at you, and now you're fucked, right? I just, yeah. And again, you'd think that there'd be nothing to him as far as intelligence goes, but an intelligence of 20.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. A super genius.
Yeah, yeah. As smart, if not smarter, than every wizard you'll ever meet, right?
Exactly. It knows what it's doing. Okay, great. All right, let's go and let's roll. Initiative again. Last one. 9.
4.
6.
Me first. Class block up to kill it. Adventure, rumors around the monster. Role-playing tips. Role-playing tips. It depends on the situation. I go back to the intelligence and the wisdom being super high here. Even the charisma is very high. This creature is going to feel completely in control of the situation. So what that means to me, when I see completely in control of the situation for role-playing, you can be meta. You can pick up on all of the character traits and assumptions right away. So the stats are that high. So I know my players. I know what they're likely to do. I can prepare for that. I can even sway the encounter, trying to bait them into certain things, because the idea is that this creature is going to pick up on that very easily right away. So when it comes to role playing, I would say set yourself high DCs in your head for when the players are trying to make checks during this role play encounter, because this character is supposed to have the advantage in that. And so the way that you can make that happen mechanically is to set very high DCs and very restricted ranges of success. That's my role playing thoughts.
Kyle, you were next. I got a 4.
So I mean, okay, I like this in theory. I like it in terms of world building. I don't like it in terms of an actual in-game thing as anything more than, I don't know, like an existential horror, right? Like it says in the lore block that it's really nothing. It doesn't care about anything except eating and adding to itself. It doesn't care what other oozes do. It has no real concern for any sort of goings on in the material plane. Like this is what I was saying when, like, I don't really think about oozes a whole lot because they are nothing but hunger and like eternal hunger. Like I think of this thing as, maybe trying to eat the world or consume the material plane, but I mean, even that doesn't seem like a priority to it.
Yeah, but I gotta say, it exists only to consume. In previous lore, in other editions, it has been hyper focused on consuming everything in the multiverse and turning it all to ooze and slime. And the oozes and slimes that exist actually just kind of like were bits and pieces of Juiblex that like had glopped off that he wasn't paying attention to, and they just like expanded out into the multiverse, right? So
Okay.
He as a force of nature, he's Galactus, right? I just need to consume everything. Hyper intelligent, and can communicate, speaks all languages, and is telepathic, right? Has the ability to strategize, but the strategy is only I need to consume, right? And that's the goal. All of the strategies serve that purpose. So it could be something as simple as Juiblex is your great old one warlock's actual patron, who has been lying the whole time, because God knows he's intelligent enough to do it, right? And it sets you guys up on your grand quest to take out, I don't know, Demogorgon or Zerial or someone else, because when this one falls, then Juiblex will come in ready to consume their realm and all of their followers. But he can't get in there. He needs the party to go, and like he needs to manipulate the party into being that sword that that cuts open the way for him, and then he's going to come in and eat everything. Right. I really do like the fact that Juiblex is not going to, he absolutely could scheme politically, but he's not going to. He's just like, when he speaks, he just says food, hungry, consumption, right? But he understands what you're saying. He's not stupid. When he hears you plotting in front of him, well, you go around to the left and we'll go. No, you can't outflank him, right? He's too smart for that shit. Yeah. So it's just about, we have no problem thinking about the single-minded ego trip for a villain, right? Vecna's single purpose, gain power, right? Orcus's single purpose, kill everything. Just Juiblex's is eat everything, right? But he's just as capable as anybody else. I prefer him as a warlock patron, if I can be honest.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, he does make a good warlock patron.
Oh, different. I gotta think about that. Expand on that. I love it. Okay. That's everyone for role playing, right? Exploration. I mean, it's when I think exploration, I'm thinking how is the environment building up? I think you should lean into the fact that all these different kinds of oozes are in the area. I think this is when you're coming to the end of the quest here. You should really build it up. You should make this environment terrifying. The fact that there's those regional effects where there's slime and different things going on out to 6 miles out. You should build that disgusting build up where I would maybe want to put this creature in an environment like not a deliberate swamp, but certainly a destroyed area and kind of just decayed by the slime and build this up and escalate over the 6 miles. And so my exploration tip is you're not just going to come across Juiblex in a cave. This should build up and you can get creative with how you build up this environment over the 6 miles before you get close to him.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going to fight him, you're going to fight him in the slime pits. Like he's going to be in his own lair. So that makes this CR23 at CR25, right? Like that's... You know where
you've got a couple of sessions through that region as well, right? You've got 6 miles of region. If you make it complicated, you've got 2 sessions of content there to really build this combat up.
Yeah. I like the idea of how will he affect the land and the terrain in a greater area than just what's affected by regional effects, right? Will rivers start to run green? Will there seem to be more cohesion to oozes? Are there more oozes in the area? Are they doing things that are outside of their general nature, right? Like, are you more likely to find one not underground? I mean, whenever I think of an ooze, I think of like a dungeon or a cave or the Underdark kind of thing. I don't think of like on the surface, outside, under the sun. So something like that kind of...
But that can be like, if you're in the abyss, it can be outside because the sun is very small and very pale and the air is full of foul, stinking clouds, right? So you can be a radically different landscape. You got to think there's acid everywhere, so that's not only creating the like fumes as things burn, but you're going to have all sorts of like even hard materials, rock and metal and stuff, have soft rounded edges. There's not going to be a whole lot of jagged pieces around here just from the acid. You would assume that acid rain is a factor here as well on this level of the abyss.
Definitely.
Feel free. I imagine like lava stone kind of thing, but I was thinking more in terms of what you were saying, like if his goal is for somebody to open the door for him, essentially from there, right? What is the clue that might tune you into something that says the world is not right? And how does he get set apart from any other sort of world-ending horror?
I think you treat him like Cthulhu until you get face to face with him, right? Yeah. Like that all-knowing psychic ability to communicate with you. And when you get higher levels or you get direct communication through a crystal ball or any sort of divination or anything, you're aware of multiple eyes floating on a giant wet green mass. And that just sounds great old one. It's not necessarily Juiblex until it is, right? Mm-hmm. Honestly, when I think of the environment and how to play with Juiblex, I like the idea of having like the final encounter, just be like you walk into his cave and there's just everything is just dripping, like dripping wet, and you would feel so disgusting by that point. And that's when you realize that he's actually stretched across the far wall of the entire cavern, when the entire wall just opens multiple eyes all over the place, right? But I want to remind you, when you're doing your descriptions for exploration, okay, so here's where I'm coming from. You guys are familiar with Lush, that god awful soap company that every girl loves?
I don't like walking by that store. It gives me a headache. Then it's too much.
I did air balancing, which is to say HVAC work in there. We had to work nights not in the store, in the manufacturing plant in Vancouver. It's out by Richmond. And I was there for 5 consecutive nights, where we had to get into the building, onto the place where they've got giant vats mixing the soaps with perfumes and all of the glitter and the scents and the smells. And I had a migraine by the first like 20 minutes of being in that place, and it would last the entire shift. We were there overnight and it was brutal. But the worst part was, because we're there with the HVAC, we're getting all the air blown in our faces as we go to measure vents and airflows and all this stuff. The worst part was getting home and taking my fingernails and scraping the soap scum off of every inch of my skin, taking my shirt off and scraping soap scum of various different smells and textures off of my chest and back and shoulders and stomach. And like, it was everywhere. That is what you're dealing with, only it's wet slime when you're dealing with Juiblex, right? You should be describing to your players how they just feel wet and sticky, and everything is chafing. Everything just feels like when they go to like take their hand off of the hilt of their sword, their fingers stick to it for just a second, as if like a glue stick, right?
Can it be warm? Warm feels much more personal. If it's a regional effect of Juiblex.
Yeah.
The area to be, I'd be like, it feels warm. It just feels too intimate. I don't like it.
I would imagine it would feel like you're sweating hair gel. All the time.
You know, in the beginning of the lockdown, the pandemic, and the hand sanitizers everywhere, and there were some that were like really good, and others that were just too wet for some reason.
Yeah, it was really blast out there. Yeah, that's right. Nasty. Dude. Okay, what are we moving on to? Combat. Kyle, you're first, right?
No, I thought I was second.
Yeah, no, Terry, you're up first.
Oh, shit, sorry. I'm going up the last two. Okay, what happens when he dies? Even harvesting parts. I mean, okay, let me get interested with harvesting parts. What do I think? What are we getting from this? Well, I mean, the thing is, it's the end of the quest, so I don't want to go into that. I want to think about how it fights. I think this is one of those creatures where, maybe have a few minions if you want to. A few minions that come in every round, but I like to always put the players on the back foot, and I'm using all of these abilities, soaking up rounds by using those legendary actions. And sometimes I don't mind using those legendary actions early if it makes for an interesting encounter. Players are funky. Sometimes even though this is a major creature, sometimes by about round 4 or 5, they've got something crazy off. So I like to keep the enemy dangerous early, something like this. So I'll blast those legendary actions early. And then I'm leaning into all of the layer actions as well, and not forgetting what the regional actions provide, basically give me permission to do for the environment. So the acidic water with the small bodies of water, that means I'm setting this place up to be completely on my side. And basically I would say just get creative with it. Just blast everything off. Legendary actions early. Understand that you've got condition immunities, the big 3 damage resistances. You might get 2 or 3 rounds, DMs, just teeing off on these guys before they figure out what day of the week it is. So I would say just go big and go big early.
Yeah. So what I think is missing from this is stuff from its stat block is abilities that stop players from moving, right? Like I think it should have a spell like
slime, I think. Where's sticky slime? That was restrained.
The lair action? Yeah,
the lair action sticky slime. DC 21 strength save or restrained.
Oh, okay, I missed that one then. But yeah, even more than that, like having crap, I'm drawing a blank now.
Sorry, I tripped you up. I should have said yes, you're right. We'll forget about this one.
The area that it's one of the warlock patron spells where it creates like an area where there's a whole bunch of things grabbing you, like tentacles reaching up from the ground.
The tentacles?
The Arms of Hadar.
Arms of Hadar, like that kind of spell seems perfect for this.
Yeah, you
So
want there to
just
be
like grasp.
yeah,
Sorry?
yeah. Sorry, you want there to be like pseudopods growing out of the wall.
Yeah, grasping things coming from the ground to like hold you down while it comes, and you kind of just see it slowly move its way towards you. So you kind of get the sense of like slowly being drawn into being eaten. Like, okay, so you know how starfish eat? Like how they
Yeah.
have all the kind of tentacles along their arms and stuff, and they basically grab something and then it slowly moves like a mollusk, whatever, down its arm until it gets to the mouth at the center. Like that's what I want the battle to feel like.
What the fuck? Is that true?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't, why is that? Like, that's torturous.
I don't know, man. The ocean is weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's the kind of feel I want to get from this combat. You know, I want the slow horror of like realizing you're being eaten, but just it coming at a glacial
And you
pace.
just can't stop it. I like it. I love it.
I gotta say,
Love
the
it.
thing that I'm focusing on when it comes to combat is the regeneration that sticks out to me. Shows that Juiblex is not afraid of anything. Not only do we have 350 average hit points, actually a lot more than that if you just go max, but with the regeneration, you're essentially negating one or two characters' attacks on a regular basis once you get past the great big fuck off attacks, right? So when it comes to Juiblex, he's going to mix it up. He's going to get right in there, and he doesn't have a whole lot of speed, but he doesn't need it because he's got like the lair and probably some minions. So the interesting thing about regeneration is what Terry said before is that if Juiblex takes fire or radiant damage, then he doesn't regenerate at all. But he's also resistant to fire. And my players are pretty good at picking up the clues that I give them directly in a high stress combat, but they're not going to be great at missing what I omit. If they attack with fire and I tell them it doesn't seem as effective as you had hoped, but it does do some damage, they will read between the lines and say, okay, shit, fire's not working. And then when I don't say, and he doesn't regenerate, or like if I just leave that out and I am quietly tracking the hit points myself, and I don't describe him growing parts up or whatever at the initiative 20 or whenever he starts his turn or whenever, right? Like if I don't do this, they won't pick up that I missed it. There's too much other shit going on. So they might miss the fact that fire is actually one of Juiblex's weaknesses, right? This is one of the things when it comes to an end battle, I have to sit down and ask myself, for the player's sake, do I telegraph like the radiant damage hits him and he recoils from it? And do I say he does not generate? Or do I just let them fight this battle off where he is occasionally regenerating and other times not? And they can't figure out the pattern. Do I let it be part of the puzzle because it's the big final combat? Or do I throw them a bone and let them in on the secret on how to defeat this guy? And with this many hit points, with a high enough AC, I think that they might need the help. So depends how tactical.
Do you normally narrate?
Sorry, Kyle?
Oh, there was a delay there. Do you narrate when something has regeneration? Like, will you go, oh, and you see on the start of its turn, you see part of its flesh grow back or wounds close on it?
Yeah, absolutely. If it is reasonable that the characters would be able to notice this with the perception, their passive perception of 14, 15, 16, whatever, or higher, then yes, they would absolutely notice this. And I would turn to the one character and say, you see this, the one that's face to face. If they're firing arrows from 120 feet away, no, right? But if they're right in there, and maybe with Juiblex, because I mean, there's not a face. You're not going to see wounds close. He's just slopping and sliming all over himself the entire time. It's going to be hard to tell, right? So normally not with an ooze, but I do with humanoids all the time, or beasts and stuff. Yeah, absolutely I would. So if it's reasonable that they can see it, then I let them know that they do see it, which is also why I like to play in the dark.
I think a good way of doing it.
Sorry?
Yeah. I was going to say, I think a good way to play it is if you were having one character see that wounds close, right? They would see that an arrow gets pushed out from its flesh and falls to the ground, but you notice the scorch marks don't change.
Yeah.
So, is any final thoughts before we jump to a final info break? I think that's everyone.
Yeah, I do want to say when it comes to Juiblex, there are two ways to handle him. You got to keep in mind at level 19 and 20, your characters have access, even 18, your characters have access to some high powered shit. If he's got 350 hit points and you can get him down to 99, power word kill works, right? You just don't have to do the last
Yes.
2/7 of this fight, right? And there's going to be a lot of shit like that. And so even with the saves being as high as they are, a good banishment spell is going to work. Time stop is going to fuck your character up, or your big bad evil guy. So when I look at CR23, I want to put him against level 18 and 19 characters because that's an existential threat. He's not my level 20 bad guy. I feel like you fight Juiblex to get to Orcus, right? Because he's a higher CR. The CRs really fall apart. Challenge ratings don't mean a hell of a lot when you get late game like that, because tier 4, the players have so much access to so many abilities that you are not going to be able to keep up with because the action economy is not working in your favor, right?
And items as well. At that point, you've got some items where it's just difficult to predict the activity.
Yeah. So like my reason for fighting Juiblex might be, hey, we're hitting the end of level 18. You'll level at the moment we kill Juiblex, you'll be level 19. But we got to go fight him to harvest one of his eyeballs to use as a crystal ball to find the location of Orcus's palace or whatever, right? So like that's my plot hook, my road in. Juiblex is not the end of my campaign unless he is a warlock patron of my warlock, and we're going to build to this for the entire campaign, right? Then I'm going to make him have max hit points, and I'll give him a 4th acid lash attack. I'm going to fuck with the action economy, give him minions and a crazy ass lair, right? Then he has to actually punch at CR 25, 26, right? And that's what you get in a lair. So that's my thought process and when to use him in a campaign.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, guys. Well, before we go any further, let's jump to our last info break.
If you've been inspired by the conversation in this episode, please feel free to reach out and share your creativity and ideas with us and the rest of the community. You can reach us on Facebook and Instagram or on our subreddit, r/itsAmimic, where we keep a place for you to ask mailbag questions as well as our episode guide. Also, if you're feeling particularly generous, please follow and subscribe and leave us positive reviews, likes, and comments. Engagements like that help us pop up on search engines and keep this show running.
Do you guys have any final thoughts on these 3 that we talked about today? Anything that really jump out to you that you thought might be one last note to give us a hint or a tip or trick?
It's good to learn some more interesting ways to use oozes, and we got some real creepy things that we can throw at the party here. Some early level stuff where they truly wouldn't know. Even people that are newer to D&D but might understand fantasy are not going to think oozes, right? They're thinking like goblins and elves and dwarves and stuff and the basics. So the early level ones are fun, and then the later level stuff, it's just, I didn't know you could be so creative with oozes. So now it's this is something unexpected to throw at the players.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I came in here with not a whole lot and not expecting myself to enjoy some of them as much as I do. But yeah, there are some actually really cool things you can do with these, especially the Oblex. I enjoy it. I like it a lot more now than I did coming into this episode.
Yeah, I gotta say the real standout to me, I know Juiblex. I've known Juiblex for a while. Oblexes I was passingly familiar with, but I like the details quite a bit. Slithering Tracker I have ignored because it's a CR3 Ooze who gives a shit. But there's so much flavor in there, and I've got plot hooks now, and I'm upset that my party is level 7 because that's just beyond the reach of, I think, an interesting Slithering Tracker subplot. So I might actually steal it and beef up its hit points and its multi-attack or the damage dice or something, just so I can use it because it's so flavorful. And I was really surprised by that. I thought it was just another crawling claw, essentially. And it's a little bit more. And it's a little bit fun. And I've got hags in my campaign. Of course, they will have Slithering Trackers around. They would be happy to make them. So I'm excited to actually pull those out and use them.
That's sweet. Yeah, I honestly do feel like the Slithering Tracker is maybe a little too low for how it's explained.
Oh yeah, you like it a little bit higher. I thought the same. A little bit higher CR, where it can be you can make it a little scarier. It's like, unless you bring it in really early in the game, you're going to miss your opportunity for that type of creepy creature.
Yeah, I want to be able to tell a storyline with like a good plot, and I'm still in the middle of intros when I'm level 3, right? Like we're still learning the world. We haven't met with the important NPCs enough to really have opinions about them yet. So so me killing them or turning them into Slithering Trackers is not going to have the same impact. So I'm probably going to homebrew a beefier version of that guy. But the Oblex and Juiblex are just perfect.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway, that's all for this part of our conversation on Oozes in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Please take a second to engage with a like, follow, comment, and review to help push our engagement. And don't forget to subscribe to find future inspirations for your campaigns.
If you'd like to support us, we have a store with some merch and a donate button on our website, itsamimic.com, as well as a Patreon. This episode and others can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and most other podcast apps. Thanks for listening to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.
This has been an It's a Mimic production. Please check the show notes for this episode to see links, time codes, and credits. And don't forget to reach out and share your own inspirations.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back to It's a Mimic,
hold
where
on.
you never know. Mo.
Sorry, can we just take a quick second? I'm not sure if it's my internet or something, but you guys keep like cutting out
Oh, okay.
in terms of my audio. So I'm wondering if I just gotta close some stuff.
Adam, you're not cutting out to me, so I think the recording's okay.
Yeah, I think you and I are right. I think it's on your end, Kyle. Do you just have a lot of
Yeah.
stuff open?
I'm guessing so, yeah. There's just too many tabs.
You know, you can just bookmark your favorite porn. You don't have to actually just like,
I know. I keep opening tabs like, oh, I'm gonna read this later, and then it just sits on my desktop for like 3 weeks.
These are your wicked date locations, Kyle. I gotta get
No,
I gotta get
it's
recommendation document for that, because you were throwing out some good ones before.
it's
And-
mostly just like Wikipedia rabbit holes.
Oh,
yeah, but I do that too. But I have a like notepad just always open on my desktop where I copy paste the entire link into it to come back to later. And then when the entire notepad looks like the page is full, I go back and go, what am I actually interested in? And I'll delete half of them and then go actually read some.
yeah.
Then again, I have a lot of time to kill when I'm sitting here editing and just like listening to my own stupid voice pop off about sphinxes or some nonsense. And it's
but
then time to read some shit. So
is it I, we, or you when it happens? That's what I'm saying. Okay.
actually, I'll tell you what. While I edit these days, I actually play chess on my phone. I've become, I don't want to say good, but passable as a chess player. So I spent literal hundreds of hours on that and won a couple of online tournaments and shit too. Again, nothing to brag about. This is against children, I'm pretty sure, but like I'm fairly happy with my ability to accurately guess where the knight goes.
That's good, man. It's tough. It's tough for that game. And I think even competition of any kind like that is good for you. It challenges you, right? So you probably are playing against some good people. I don't know. Here's the thing. Kids are weirdly smart these days. And if they start playing young, they'll be amazing. But if you get other people that maybe used to play when they were younger, then come back to it when they're older, you probably have some decent competition, I think.
Yeah.
So it's winning.
All right. Weird games though that like it's been around for so long that like everything has been studied to death. So if you meet one of those people, you're like, fuck. Like you make one move and they already know exactly what you're gonna do or exactly how to beat you.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of theory that goes into it. It's absolutely fucking wild. And I will never be at that level. Like I like to outthink things and to do the mind puzzles and the games and stuff. I will never be what some of them are. But like I started looking into it and I followed a couple of like major tournaments where the grandmasters are playing and stuff. I'm starting to learn the culture. It's a very strange thing. And I hope that I'm going to be one of those 80-year-old men in a cardigan sitting in the park at one of those public chess boards.
Yes.
Just playing when like as probably like AC/DC at that point, but like the old classic music is in the background, right? Like
yeah. I like to imagine it just a little bit chilly, like it's fall. This is how I see this.
Yeah. And there are pigeons nearby for some reason.
Right. Yeah, I'm just saying you don't want to be in July.
No.
Well, I love it. Okay, I have to start this episode.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
I think I'm lagging. Can you guys hear me?
No, yeah. I said no. I mean, yeah. I did a Canadian no, yeah. No, yeah. Yes, I can hear you. And we went deep on that one.
I'm really happy with that. That was a good episode. I wasn't expecting it to go
Yeah.
so intense.
Yeah,
So
deep.
no, that was good. How many more?
I wrote almost.
Sorry, what, Kyle?
Sorry. First.
Sorry, you lagged, Kyle. What were you saying?
He said
I just said I wrote almost nothing coming into this. So I am pleasantly surprised about how much I ended up actually coming out with.
good.
Yeah, no, that was good. I'm pleasantly surprised with that one. Oozes are so much more interesting than they have any right to be.
Yeah, it was better. It was better than I expected. August 10th, getting going early, 2 p.m. I'm in. I'm gonna be I'll be there 2:01. So be ready because
Hey man, come hang out.
where else am I gonna be? Where else am I gonna be?
Yeah, I am looking forward to like the invite went out. I think it was like 20 people, 25 people, something like that. Now we'll get 2/3 of that, but I'm expecting to have some beers in the backyard and eat a fuck ton of pig. So that's good.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
Yeah, pig roast.
And if you guys have
One of
plus
those in a
ones,
long
bring 'em.
time.
No +1 right now. No +1. Since last time I saw you, I was dating this girl for a few weeks. This Korean girl. Guys, I've done this fucking. You wouldn't believe the crash course on anime that I've done over the past 4 weeks. It's unbelievable. I'm watching fucking Demon Slayer every day, and I thought it was going so well. I was like, I'm in love with this girl. Call me emotional. I was like, I'm marrying this woman. It's crazy. And then she seemed so into it. Then out of the blue, she was like, hey, sorry, I'm not really interested anymore. And then just ghosted me. I was like, I've just spent 48 hours learning this fucking anime. Anime expert. Guys, long way of saying there's no +1 for me, Adam. It'll be just me.
I'll be your +1, Terry.
Yeah, well, I got all this fucking anime knowledge now if anybody needs it.
Are you big into anime now? Or are you a convert?
I got hooked into this Demon Slayer show. I was like, and then I just kept talking to people. I got this guy in my building, Raheem, and I always like see him at the West Coast Express station. Like we just discovered each other one day as we weirdly followed each other from the building to the station. And then he works in the building next to me. And now he's always talking about anime and stuff as well. I'm like, I'm getting an education on this, whether I want it or not. Like I did not go willingly into this. It's like I feel like I'm learning things that I never intended to learn.
I've been
Next thing
weirdly.
you know, you're gonna be.
Sorry, Kyle. You and I always talk at the same time. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, next thing you know, you're gonna be dressing up in costumes, going to cons.
Well, hey, I don't think I've told you guys this. Adam, maybe I caught you with this. When I did my firearm safety course back in March. Did I tell you this? Maybe I didn't. It was at the Croatian Cultural Center in Commercial Drive, and it was on a Saturday, and they booked 2 spaces. They booked a small classroom for 12 guys doing a firearm safety course, and the entirety of the Croatian Center, other than this, was for Kawaii Con. And so it was just, I don't know many hundreds of cosplayers. Adam, I didn't deserve this. I don't know why. I thank God that day. I said, I don't know why you've sent me this gift, but I appreciate it. And so for the 8 hours that we were in this classroom, the classroom was against like a really beautiful stone wall where the windows were laid into, and we were just along the wall like a school. And all the cosplayers were using that wall for their pictures with all the photographers. And it got to the point where it was like stopping the class. And he was like, which character is that? And I was like, that's Bowsette. And it was just, I don't know how I got through this course, but my point is, since then, this has now crept into my life more and more. So now I feel like I'm not an expert, but can hold my own if we talk about the new stuff.
I am woefully uneducated in all of it. And every once in a while, someone says, you should watch. And I go, I should, but it won't.
I know. I know. It's good. You can tell where they put the budget. See, even me saying this sentence is alien to me. I was just about to say, you can tell which scenes they put the budget into, like with the art and stuff. And it's like, I don't know who I am anymore. Anyway, that's over. I'm going to bitterly push that into my memory bank and not revisit it.
Yeah.
Some of it's really good. Some of it's just weird as fuck, but a lot of it's really good.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Fly, my little dragons. Have a fantastic day.